Growing up, Power Rangers Mystic Force was my favorite Power Rangers season. In 2005, Toei created a Super Sentai season called Maho Sentai Magiranger. It was made in the wake of several fantasy blockbuster films to profit off the success of Harry Potter. In 2006, it concluded, and Disney created a faithful Power Rangers adaptation using the footage of the series. Magiranger had the second highest average ratings of the decade, with the only one beating it being Gal Ranger, and no Sentai season has gotten a higher average since. Magiranger is about a family of wizards fighting against the evil forces of the underworld trying to destroy the surface world. After watching Deca Ranger and Power Rangers SPD, I realized there was a crossover film between Deca Ranger and Magiranger, so I decided to watch both series back to back, including the final arc of Mystic Force that I never got to see the end of as a child. After watching Magiranger and Mystic Force back to back, I decided to make a video comparing these two series. Mystic Force is very faithful to its Sentai counterpart. The plot is the same, the villains are very similar, and Mystic Force doesn't have as much original footage as previous Power Rangers seasons. And this is a good thing, because like the other Disney-era seasons, the original footage is cheap and hard to take seriously if you're an adult. However, it's way better than the original footage in the previous and subsequent seasons, SPD and Operation Overdrive. The only real difference between the story is that in Magiranger, the Rangers are a family and their mentor is their mother. Also, the Mystic Mother is seemingly killed in the second episode, and the family is forced to survive, learn magic, and function as a family without their parents. Throughout the first two arcs of the season, they keep hearing about their father, believing that he died, and it turns out that he was turned into Woolzard, an honorable henchman of the villains. Mystic Force has the same twist, but only about the Red Ranger, who's an orphan who turns out to be the child of Woolzard's counterpart Korag, and their mentor, the sorceress Udana. Throughout Magiranger, there are three story arcs where the villains escalate and change. The villains are the Hades Empire in Furcia, the evil forces of the underworld, ruled by the mysterious master Enma. The Red Ranger's name is Kai, so now I know where Ninjago got the idea for its first year. The plot is very similar in both series, and Mystic Force does a good job adapting the plot. The first arc has a general who's an enhanced cyborg grunt trying to destroy the surface world with Hades beasts. The second arc has escalation of the monsters, so they go against Hades beastmen, who unlike the previous monsters are smarter and more dangerous. In this arc, the villain is a mummy villain who is a fallen sorcerer who takes control of Infurtia. This arc ends with the destruction of the Infurtian Empire and the plot twist and sacrifice of Woolzard. The final arc follows the 10 gods of Hades, the Infurtia pantheon, trying to bring about divine punishment to the surface world, which leads to them reviving Enma as the ultimate god. In Magiranger, this arc follows the Rangers saving their mother, who it turns out was sent to another dimension rather than killed. Mystic Force changes a few things but adapts the plot pretty well. First of all, Udana loses her powers instead of being separated from the others and gets them back at the end. She's a mentor for the team from the start. Also, the second arc is extremely well executed, and the twist and foreshadowing of Korag's twist is excellent. Also, there is more conflict among the villains and disloyalty by the mummy villain Imperius. However, the final arc is not very good, as it feels like the plot is over and the rest of the series is just taking down a few more monsters. It's not executed as well as Magiranger, however, the overall plot and story of both series is fantastic. But Magiranger feels like the stakes are getting higher, and it's made clear from the beginning that courage, a classic trope in fantasy, is important, but there is an overarching theme that it's not always enough. Magiranger does a way better job with themes, and the individual episodes are way better than Mystic Force episodes. Mystic Force does have many mature themes, but Magiranger does a better job with them from the beginning. And in the final arc of Magiranger, most of the monsters get 2 episodes back to back, similar to many Kamen Rider series. However, Mystic Force has a story arc about finding a dragon egg called the Fire Heart that combines with the Red Ranger to become a battleizer when it hatches. In fact, I love this battleizer because it looks very similar to Kamen Rider Hibiki, the Kamen Rider that was airing alongside Magiranger. Comparing these two series, the usual way I compare Power Rangers series to their counterparts would not be fair. Magiranger is way better than Mystic Force. It's more mature, the characters are way better, the writing is way better, the action scenes are better. In fact, even the direction is better. It's like going from Harry Potter to the Mortal Instruments. Power Rangers fans are notorious for watching the Super Sentai series and then acting like it's way more mature than the Power Rangers one and that it's a mature adult show because it shows a little blood. Well, this time I'm gonna go ahead and do that. It's the Vampire Diaries. And it's Mortal Kombat. Mystic Force had a poorly connected fantasy dimension the Rangers spend a lot of time in that doesn't fit the series and is obviously cheap and pretty generic. It was filmed in New Zealand, the same place where the Lord of the Rings trilogy was filmed. Also, most of the original footage looks like a really cheap, low-budget fantasy film. It's pretty obvious that Disney didn't care about this series. But that doesn't mean Mystic Force isn't a good Power Rangers series. There's one 6 episode arc in Magiranger that has a 3 part adaptation, Dark Wish, that has an excellent story that the counterpart lacks. The theme of the 3 parter is about the Rangers taking the easy way out and using a genie to wish away an enemy, which this gets him captured. As a consequence, his wish powers are used to create a world without the Power Rangers, where the villains won. This is the opposite of the Sentai arc, where the Rangers use a power-up mode that puts them at risk of losing themselves, and the 6th Ranger uses magic to give them the easy way out and undo it with no consequences. Despite the low budget, there are some excellent fight scenes, such as a really good training fight, and there's a fight between Korag and Purified Korag when the Red Ranger is possessed and turned into him. There's one other thing that I like about Mystic Force. In Magiranger, the magic is holy magic, and they gain power from angelic forces in the clouds. Magiranger is full of paganism, with many different gods, but has an emphasis on sorcery being behind everything. This combines aspects of many different religions and paganism in a sacrilegious light because it resembles a mix of Japanese Buddhist pantheon and Judo Christian mythology with a bunch of pagan elements. It's kind of like the world building of the Vampire Diaries. It embraces the paganism and sacrilegious world building. Power Rangers Mystic Force cut this out and kept the religious content out of it altogether. However, Mystic Force is a little bit more terrifying. Mystic Force did do an excellent job naming the villains. In Magiranger, the villain's name is Enma, which is named after the Japanese name of the Buddhist king of hell. Mystic Force named him Octomus the Master because he's octopus themed. Keep in mind, his design is octopus and skull themed, and he ends up looking like a combination of Cthulhu and Satan. Throughout all three arcs, there's a secondary vampire villain named Vancula, and Mystic Force renamed her Necroli, which is an excellent name, and gives her a story about her relationship with her daughter, which Vancula had the ability to split into two women. And then there's the mummy villain Mimi, who's renamed Imperius. And then Woolzard is renamed Korag. Korag is an excellent name because Korag sounds werewolf-like, and he's wolf-themed. Lastly, Dagon, one of the main Hades gods, is renamed Sculpin because he's fish themed. And then there's one Cyclops villain who's renamed Oculus, which Oculus sounds perfect. As much as I love Mystic Force, Magiranger has way better characters, and even the comedy is better. Mystic Force has childish comedy, and the characters have stupid interactions with each other. They treat it like a joke when the Green Ranger is turning into a tree, and they treat it like a joke when the Pink Ranger gets turned into a vampire. However, the comic relief characters are pretty good. Lily, Pimvare, and Phineas are my favorite comic relief characters in all of Power Rangers. Lily is Necroli's daughter, and she has a good character arc. Phineas is a goblin troll half-breed who's important to the plot. I also like Udana, because Udana is present throughout the entire series. She frequently assists the Rangers, teaches them valuable life lessons, and she takes matters into her own hands, similar to her counterpart. Udana is my favorite mentor in the entire Power Rangers series, and she has an apprentice who goes from being a terrible witch to a powerful sorceress by the end of the series. On the other hand, the Magirangers have a really cool talking mandrake for comic relief instead of her. Magiranger has some good mecha battles, and unlike other series, the Rangers grow big using magic instead of summoning giant robots. So technically, this is a Kyudai hero series, like Ultraman. That is except for the 6th Ranger who has a train mecha instead. This is also the first series where the 6th Ranger is a Gold Ranger, which this has become frequent since then. Also, the music of this series is very good, especially the Gold Ranger's Magi Shine theme song. However, it takes a lot to beat the Power Rangers Mystic Force theme song. The theme is totally different from previous Power Ranger songs. It's one of the few that has an extended full-length version, and it beautifully mixes hip-hop with the mystical beat of the series. The Mystic Force theme song is my favorite Power Rangers theme song, alongside Dino Charge and Operation Overdrive. Disney took this style and tried it again in the next season Operation Overdrive, however it wasn't as successful. This is the only thing about Magiranger that Mystic Force beats. Watching Power Rangers Mystic Force back to back with Magiranger episode by episode was a pleasure. I give Magiranger a 7.62 out of 10, and I give Mystic Force a 6.15 out of 10. This is the first season where I can honestly say I recommend both. Mystic Force is my favorite Power Rangers series of the Disney era. Usually, when watching a Power Rangers season back to back with the Sentai, you'll find yourself thinking, I already watched the Sentai with subtitles, so why am I watching this garbage? However, that didn't cross my mind until the final arc of the series. Magiranger is one of the best Super Sentai seasons, and Mystic Force is one of the most underrated Power Rangers seasons. Thanks for watching.